Hello and welcome to the Channel 5 News. I am Idona John Baptist. In the headlines, 4 medical students received $10,000 each in post-Marriott support from the Chinese embassy. Trinidad and Tobago says its position on Dominica's OAS fee waiver request has been misrepresented, and Australia's head coach steps down in light of ball tampering controversy. The details of these and other stories coming up.
They're the future stars of track and field, each one a potential world champion, and they're representing you, your hope, your pride, your honor, repping your country. See and support the best of the Caribbean's junior athletes. Catch all the thrills of the Flow Carifta Games anywhere, anytime, any device, live and exclusively on Flow Sports.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners, Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Channel 5 News. First up, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is forced to do damage control over what it calls a misrepresentation of its position on Dominica's fee waiver request to the OAS. That country's Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs released a statement 6 days after its permanent representative to the OAS objected to Dominica's request for a waiver of its financial contributions to the OAS for 2018 and 2019. Ambassador Anthony Philip Spencer told the meeting of the Permanent Council of the OAS it was the position of his government to object and suggest the OAS consider a deferral of payment for Dominica and payment plan when necessary. But the Trinidad authorities have launched an investigation into what went wrong to lead to that misrepresentation. The press release from TNT's Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs said it regretted in an unqualified way that position offered by the public official. The CARICOM nation said the position presented at the OAS is not aligned with the actions, policy, or orientation of Trinidad and Tobago towards Dominica. A report on the investigation into the briefing arrangements of the public official and the circumstances involved in the discussions at the OAS will be submitted to the Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister. The statement said Trinidad and Tobago's solidarity with the people of Dominica was without question, and that its actions and cooperation with Dominica since Tropical Storm Erika and now Hurricane Maria attest to a strong and abiding relationship between the two countries. In other top stories, 4 students studying medicine in China have received checks of $10,000 each from the Embassy of the People's Republic of China to Dominica.
China's ambassador to Dominica, who experienced Hurricane Maria, was instrumental in seeking funding for the students after Foreign Minister Francine Baron explained the family's post-Maria situation to him. Ambassador Lu Kun says he sought assistance from the Chinese Ministry of Education and Medical Schools Board, but when those efforts failed, he decided the embassy would provide the needed support for the students.
This money is from the budget of our embassy, and I hope this financial support is really important to use for students continue to study in China, and each student will get $10,000 the check, give you the check. So I hope, because for you it's not easy, for really after the Hurricane Maria, your home's also destroyed, and to study your children studying in China also need a lot of money. So I think your children also studies Chinese medical technology is also serving for the Dominican people. And also they play a very important bridge between the friendship between China and the Dominican. So as Chinese embassy, we will fully and from the bottom of our heart to support, to continue to give you financial support, let them to continue studying China.
Foreign Minister Francine Barron made the request for assistance when she spoke with Ambassador Kuhn in Barbados, where he sought refuge after Hurricane Maria.
We are deeply grateful. It's coming from funds that the embassy has for their own purposes, and so we're thankful to the ambassador for making the sacrifice to make those funds available to your students so that they can be comfortable in China. We hope that they will appreciate the kind gesture that has been and the kind hand that has been extended by the People's Republic of China, and that they will ensure that in their studies that they apply themselves with distinction, and that they can come back to assist their country to develop.
A Jamaican sociologist has until June to help restore public trust and instill transparency in the approach to managing the Dominica Red Cross. Dr. Jocelyn Salmon of Jamaica took up the office as Acting Director General of the Dominica Red Cross since January, after he came in as Vice President of the International Red Cross Society to assess the operations of the local body last December. His findings were that the organization was not functioning as it should, observing that people did not have the confidence expected in the organization.
I don't know all the reasons they don't have the confidence, but I know they do not have the confidence. And so one of the reasons I came here, I was brought in, is to attempt to restore the structure of the organization, both at the management and the governance level, and to restore the confidence, to reach out to the government.
Would part of the mandate be to update the government on everything that the Red Cross is doing?
That's exactly the case, and I have been meeting with a number of ministers. I have met with the Prime Minister to update him on where we are, and I think the Prime Minister is very pleased on the progress that we're making in reaching our objective. I think the government will tell you as well that the confidence was not as great as it should be.
Salmon's mission will include the appointment of a new board to govern the affairs of the Dominica Red Cross.
I will then proceed to establish what we call a General Assembly, where we will elect a new board, a new governing board for the Dominica Red Cross, because there were some problems with the present board as well. When I shall have established that board, I expect that by May, early May, we'll have that General Assembly where all the branches will come in and join in electing the governing board. After I have done all of that, that new board will meet. I will advise them on what needs to happen next, and the most important thing that needs to happen is to find my replacement. And that replacement will be in place by June.
All defunct community branches island-wide are being re-established as part of the restructuring process. Salmon says his midterm report prepared this week gives him hope that the objectives of the restructuring can be met before he demits the position in June. What more would you have to do in this role to ensure effective functioning of the institution?
To establish transparent and effective structures. When we hire, and we have been doing some hiring, when we hire, our processes must be transparent. We have set up processes. We want to ensure that there are structures within the Dominica Red Cross that ensure that our work process is well managed.
Dr. Salmon, how was the Dominica Red Cross able to be operated for so long without all these proper structures and systems that you speak of earlier?
Very good question. But I want to tell you, my remit is not to tell how it went wrong or why it went wrong. My remit is to tell you that when I look at the organization, there were some things that needed to be fixed, and my remit is to find a way of fixing them. So I don't delve into why and how it went that way. other people will have to deal with that.
The Dominica Red Cross exists as an act of parliament. It is governed by a constitution. A contract will soon be awarded for the demolition of the old Marriott Hospital, as construction of a new facility is expected to get underway shortly.
That's according to Health Minister Dr. Kenneth Daru, who said meetings have been held with members of parliament for the constituencies which fall within the catchment area of the Marriott Health District on the way forward for the development of this health facility.
We would have held quite a few hours of discussions at the Ministry of Health with these members of parliament to update them and also to get some sort of input from them, as to the way forward. We are now awaiting the designs from UNOPS, because UNOPS at the United Nations Office for Project Services have been contracted to do the designs for us. So we are now waiting the designs, of course, for input and of course, but in the meantime, we would have sent out the tenders for the demolition, because the hospital is going to be built on the old site, the old hospital site. I think the tenders would have been written, and a recommendation has been made already to the Ministry of Finance for the award of contract for the demolition works.
Daru says following the meeting with parliamentarians, there were different points of view on the location of the Marriott Health Center, which was previously housed in the same building as the Marriott Hospital.
There are these two different schools of thoughts as to whether or not they should be housed within the same physical structure. There's one school of thought that suggests that that would make more physical sense, because it would save staff, etc., utilities. There's this other school of thought that suggests that the two of them should be quite separated, So we have taken a decision to go ahead with the hospital aspect of it. In the meantime, we are trying to ascertain the ownership of the surrounding lands in the area so that we can continue, so that we can then determine the construction of the health center, the Marriott Health Center. So in that way, they will not be sharing the same physical structure, but at least in close vicinity, close proximity rather, to each other.
The new Marriott Hospital is being funded by the government of Mexico to the tune of $5 million.
Dominica Coconut Products is back on track and under a new name, but with limited number of employees.
DCP, formerly owned by Colgate-Palmolive, now DCP Successor Limited, was acquired by the Nassif family and regional investors. Damian Sorrendo, who previously worked with OECS Export Development Unit and Carib Export, says the company currently employs fewer workers than Pre-Maria numbers, as it is in its early development stage. He says that number could increase based on how the region responds to the product being exported now.
In terms of employment right now, we still are trying to keep a very small team and a skeleton staff, because, again, these are the first orders. You don't really know the state of a business until you see how the market responds to those orders that go out to the distributors in the region. And then it's when you start seeing the reorders, that's when you really know, you can gauge where you are as a company. So I don't want to get too excited right now, but I just want to say that we're currently employing 30 persons, a lot of them from the village of Maho. As you know, the company was heavily involved in Maho, and a lot of the workers that were there previously were from the Maho community.
Sorrendo says the DCP's main export to the regional market right now is the laundry soap line. Production began in February.
We've done 644 cases of the Better Blue soap to St. Lucia, 500 to St. Vincent and St. Kitts. Guyana, we've actually done a full container load to Guyana, which is 2,280 cases of the laundry soap. Also to Jamaica, one full container load.
You're watching Channel 5 News. The Ministry of Agriculture to determine extent of spread plant disease. That and more coming up.
Les moun ki ni TB estene e ben tousse, moun ki en bonne santé oli wen ka respire se vermine la. Moun ki pani bon tempérament kon sa ki ni maladie HIV, alcool, ka fume, ti mamay e gwa moun bien sensible pour ces maladies ça la. Moun ki ka tousse ni pou prendre précaution le yo en parmi moun en place publique. Couvert bouche ou le ka estene tousse. Visitez docteur et ben place santé. Fini tout traitement yo ba ou sa joine guérison et puis maladie TB. En responsabilité ou aider du bout de sime maladie maladi TB et HIV, protéger corps et les autres.
Thanks for staying with us. A survey of fruit trees is on the cards for the Ministry of Agriculture as it fears the spread of plant diseases post-Hurricane Maria. Agriculture Officer with specific responsibility for propagation Joseph Blanford says while the spread of disease post-Hurricane Maria is a possibility, a survey would confirm that the diseases have spread.
You would have to go out onto the field and conduct the necessary surveys. Based on the last survey that we had, we know where the diseases were, and then if we're seeing signs that it would have moved up into other areas. It is quite possible because you can get blown away or blown the insect into areas that you did not have that insect that spread the disease previously. Most of the diseases of concern to us are vector-borne disease, like the citrus greening, the citrus tristeza, they are vector-borne diseases. And if the vectors are blown into the areas that the disease weren't there before, and once the vector was already infected with the inoculum that spread that particular disease, then it means that disease could be transmitted to a plant that was not infected before with that particular disease.
Blanford says conducting a survey at this time would be problematic as Hurricane Maria also affected the equipment needed to carry out such an exercise.
Even that has challenges because most of our supplies would be affected, the reagents and the supplies that to do those tests. They are very sensitive, they have to be refrigerated, and with the impact of the storm, no electricity for a long while, it means that those reagents will no longer be viable. So we have to get fresh reagents. So an exercise like that would take a little more time. But then you can see certain signs and symptoms which can confirm whether or not that particular disease have moved to an area from the last survey.
Collection of house rates from residents in the Rosa municipality is among the biggest challenges facing the Rosa City Council.
Hurricane Maria caused severe damage to a large percentage of the housing stock in Dominica, and Rosa and environs were no exceptions. Mayor of Rosa, Irene John, explained that the City Council understands some people cannot pay house rates due to their current situation. She, however, suggested stronger collaboration between the council and government to bring some relief to the housing situation in the city.
The house rates, that's a big challenge for us because the council operates from the rates that are collected. And how are you going to ask persons now to pay rates and they do not have the house, So what we have to do now is see how, we can assist, see how we can put plans or projects in place to work with government, to see how government can assist to rebuild or to repair some of the houses. So once the houses are repaired, then we can move in and so see how we can start doing our collections. But it is not fair to the owners, to persons, to have them pay rates for properties that they do not, that is still seriously challenged.
John pointed out that payment of house rates has not been suspended, and those who are able to pay should, as the monies will go towards funding projects of the Rosa City Council.
Not suspended per se. Persons whose houses were not affected, we still expect them to come in to pay. In some cases, we remind them, that in spite of the fact that that is the situation, that we expect them to come in to pay, because that is how we need the funds badly in order to keep the council afloat and to operate. We try not to say delinquent. What we try to do is to remind them, make sure we drop the bills. We drop the bills and we follow up, on the bills and remind them that we still expect them to come in to pay. It is a big challenge because I'm seeing 3/4 of the revenue has been depleted because of the aftermath of Hurricane Maria destroying the houses.
Rosa City Council covers Waving-Cock in the north to Castle Comforts in the south. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Social Security in the region has been exploring and implementing reforms and in some cases adjusted retirement age upwards. But there is some concern about the viability of these organizations and whether they will be there for pensioners when the time comes.
Director of the Inter-American Center for Social Security Studies, Reginald Thomas, says Social Security remains a critical component of quality of life and dignity within retirement age. He says the assessment that must be made must take into consideration all the critical components in the operating environment that will impact Social Security.
Social Security systems of and by themselves, as they were designed, fundamentally good. What has changed and what will continue to change are the dynamics within the labor market, the dynamics within the financial markets as it relates to return on investment, the dynamics of lifestyle and childbearing age and the number of children per household and all of those kinds of issues. So as those critical component changes, Social Security must adapt. Most of the reform across the Caribbean have been parametric reform. We haven't changed from the system, that is, we haven't changed from defined benefit to defined contribution. We have changed some parameters, whether retirement age, contribution rate, the number of weeks used to calculate the pension. But those are all critical and important elements which must be adjusted so that Social Security can keep the promise.
Thomas says once those adjustments are made in a timely way, Social Security can continue to carry out its mission. He says there are critical challenges coming down the line for Social Security, including the implications of NCDs and the call after the last hurricane season for Social Security to be resilient in light of the many challenges.
And the Dominica Manufacturers Association has joined other private sector organizations in calling on government to conduct a public inquiry into the looting and lawlessness which occurred in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria.
The DMA's former president, Severin McKenzie, notes that while the public sector did suffer damage from the hurricane, it does not appear that it was subjected to what he calls the brutality that the private sector suffered. McKenzie says there needs to be a clear understanding of why Dominicans turned against the private sector in the way that they did. He says the events of September last year could only result in the erosion of the confidence of the private sector to invest in manufacturing and the Dominica economy by extension. Hurricane Maria and the looting which followed cost more than 500 private sector employees their jobs.
At the time Maria struck, some of the products that were to be shipped were still in Dexia's warehouse, the fate of which was part of the looter's paradise. Josephine Gabriel and Company, Dominica Breweries Limited, Bella Products and other facilities were brought to their knees. Some of these facilities are still in ruins, and it appears that only God knows whether some of them will ever return to production.
McKenzie says the manufacturing sector lost millions as a result of Hurricane Maria and the subsequent looting. Government approved a $15 million special loan facility for manufacturers, but McKenzie says before they could familiarize themselves with the terms and conditions, Hurricane Maria struck. Since then, there have been other challenges, among them seeking to make it easier for manufacturers to access the special loan facility at the aid bank.
4 months after signing the revised agreement between the government and the aid bank, manufacturers are unable to access the funds for manufacturing sector. The DMA continues to negotiate with the government of Dominica to review the conditions that make the access of the funds more possible.
That's news. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
We begin with football, where national coach Rajesh Lachu is confident his team will do well in Sunday's friendly match against Antigua. He encouraged the team to play the way they've been performing in practice, which he believes could have them winning more matches.
We are excited for the game. We are grateful for the game because now it will help us in our preparation for the CONCACAF Cup of Nations and also the UEFA tournament, which is in August, and then the CONCACAF is in September. So we're excited because we get a good opposition, and now we get an opportunity for the players them to show or to be exposed to that level. So it will increase our chances going into the different tournaments. I expect a very good performance from the guys because I saw the best set of football I've ever seen from them on this Sunday when we had an internal scrimmage. It was if they play like that, we will beat Antigua. Once we don't make any mistakes in the back, God forbid, we will beat Antigua because you see they're looking very sharp right now and they're looking capable of playing good football. Football is on the day, but we go in with the intention to change history. We didn't lose, but now we had to start to win. We had to start to win. We had to start to win because nobody else can experience Maria like how we did. And the players, they know what it is, and they know what it is to sacrifice, they know what it is to come out, they know what it is. And if they experience that, and then you come now to lie down on a field, then you do deserve to be on the field. And that's the attitude we're going with.
Lachu says the outside players bring a wealth of experience to the team, and the newcomers are up for the task.
The youths that are coming on the team are quality. The youths on the training squad, we had a couple injuries. Some of the guys pick up during their game. But that's okay because we would go to make them sure they have a proper rehab because I see the younger players, a very bright future for the younger players. And the senior players we have now are all leaders. So the younger players are being led in the right direction. And I think once that continues, the team by the end of the year will be very, very good.
The team, which will be captained by Glenson Prince, will return to Dominica on Tuesday. In track and field, national sprinter Mitchell Davis says he is looking forward to test his skills against the best in the Commonwealth nations next month. Davis, who is expected to compete in the 200-meter event, spoke with media following his first training session this week.
Well, especially Warren, I don't feel intimidated by him. I'm actually motivated. I want to race against him in the first round. I have a plan. I have a plan for him. My biggest goal right now is to make it to the finals, and from there anything is possible. And I look to glorify my God's name with my talent.
He says his training in Jamaica has been crucial in the lead up to the Commonwealth Games.
It's a great factor to my success in my career. I've been exposed to the type of training that I need to be exposed to, professionalism. I've been exposed to the competition that I need to improve every time I race. I get the right treatment, the right coaching, and all of that exposure just to the environment, the competitive environment will help me improve. That's a big factor. My coach in Jamaica he has prepared a training schedule for me. Right now we are doing light work but very fast and explosive work so that I could unload. For the past 3 months in Jamaica, I've been loading up for this specific meet. So that's the peak, that should be my peak performance. All the races I ran in Jamaica were just loaded races. Right now I'm supposed to be unloading and peaking at this Commonwealth Games, so this will be my fastest performance for the year.
Round 1 of the men's 200-meter event is carded for April 10 at Carrara Track Stadium in Australia. We continue with this item where the International Cricket Council is expected to review the game's code of conduct as ball tampering is set to be a bigger offence. This following last Saturday's controversy at the Cape Town Test between South Africa and Australia. Ball tampering is currently a level 2 offence, and like other things, handling of the ball and what is considered legal will go through a thorough reassessment and be defined more clearly. The review will also seek to clearly define what the spirit of the game is, identify what is acceptable behavior, and assess whether the offenses are being handled with appropriate seriousness and handed appropriate penalties. Player behavior has been an issue for years, with ICC recently introducing a demerit points system which would stick to a player's record for 24 months. Meantime, Darren Lemon has announced the Johannesburg Test will be his last as Australia's coach as the ball tampering scandal continues to take its toll on Australian cricket. He made his announcement hours after Smith broke down in front of reporters at a press conference in Sydney.
I thought this was tough, but speaking to the players and saying goodbye and telling them the news, that's the toughest thing I've ever had to do. So it's about fronting up for your country and playing good cricket over the next 5 days. It's been an unbelievable series, obviously marred by some incidences, but you know it's great playing playing South Africa, two rival countries that really play the game of cricket really hard, and it's been an exciting Test series. So our challenge is to get back to level the series, and that'll be it's going to be a big challenge. There's no doubt about that, but the boys will be doing everything they possibly can to play and make people proud of them.
Stephen Smith hopes others in the cricketing fraternity can learn from his mistake.
I'll do everything I can to make up for my mistake and the damage it's caused. If any good can come of this, if it can be a lesson to others, then I hope I can be a force for change.
Bancroft says he is especially disappointed in himself as a role model for young cricketers.
I'm sorry too to those people who have looked up to me around the world, especially the kids. I know I'm a role model and I've not acted like one in this instance. Words don't mean much in these circumstances, so I'll focus on my actions and conduct going forward.
Finally, in weekend games, the Dominica Cricket Association continues its intermediate league with 2 matches. On Saturday, Grassroots Cricket Academy will come up against Marino Blaster Sports Club at Botanic Gardens, while over at Windsor Park it will be a battle of the Dubla United and Gladiator Sports Clubs. Both games begin at 11 a.m. That's all the sporting highlights for now. Do have yourself an awesome weekend.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fence pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
To end the news, the headlines again. 4 medical students received $10,000 each in post-Maria support from the Chinese embassy. Trinidad and Tobago says its position on Dominica's OAS fee waiver request has been misrepresented. And Australia's head coach steps down in light of ball tampering controversy. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Idona John Baptist. Thanks for watching. Have a happy Easter.